Welcome to the bold analysis. On 20th October, Joshua Miguna Miguna arrived in this country and graced William Ruto's first ever public holiday, the Mashujaa Day celebration. And by then, he was actually touted as one of the Shujaas. But after making a couple of trips in the media houses, he is actually suffering a media blackout after indemnity altercation with the Standard Media Group. But what exactly was Miguna's mission back home? Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and I also want to humbly request you to like our video. When you like our videos, our rating increase, and when our ratings increase, that's how also will help us to boost our revenue stream. I want to really have a very strong bearing in this analysis. Miguna Miguna came back, but this time round he was a bit ambushed. Number one, he didn't know that William Ruto could form the government, even though he was supporting William Ruto at campaign trail, but with all his political experience, there was indication that it was to be Raila Odinga. And so he was not prepared. If you compare the comeback of Miguna Miguna now and that of 2012, you will actually see a different, you will actually point the difference. When he came back last time, he was getting backing of some few elements within government, within especially Mwai Kibaki's side, to destabilize Raila Odinga. And so he came back with the peeling back the mask book. And remember how he really thrived in that, some confrontation with Raila Odinga supporters. But back in 2023, he's come back with what was a liberation message. But the person to be liberated, where is he? I'm not saying the person to be liberated. And how can you liberate me if you're not even in good terms to start with? But those are just my assumptions. There is this video when he visited, I think it was a primary school. No, not a primary school. He was talking when he visited his home in Nyando. He first made a trip to Kisumu. And after that, we were expecting that he was going to make a nationwide tour, just greet the people tour. But maybe that was just an assumption. I wanted to watch that video. Then after coming back, of course, he was speaking in the Luo, so I've got you the translation down there. You understand what Miguna was saying, so that when you come back, that video is going to give us the gist of this analysis.
Engineer here, Maliki certificate. Ma is a member of the board of engineers. Na nikidi hiyo nyingi, ukitaka tu kama engineer sisi. Na roho bineno hapa sister. So watu ni engineer ni kundi. Okinya yuro ngatachia musomo wa university, dokinya yuro ngatachia manuku kwa kata manuku kwa. Kinya tu uondi, ni enonde to nya sai marare. Ni nya kalani. No. Kwa gimawacho. Liberation starts here. Liberation chakoreka. Kabe maduro moro onge. Now craftness di. They want to fight for liberation. Kikibedi ngoro sama koro ise chopo kama iki chopeno. Ange ni ndia dire nibe. Tokoro kikwa bedi ngoro. Koro mugi. Eni ano kadogi chien. Toka momra. Ange ginatimu. Dede na momra de okanka sani. Bedeve na fuo da seto. Gise chako, gise paro maribiga, tigni mangen, nini ukulike mukia. Dalo moko nengi ketu manezi mwore mtokana makida onje mtokati chako, mtokari ngokende. Makata kaketu break, to accelerate kende. Uimina eno mabed kani, hulu unifa edi nani, mabed koda mtoka, tuwa chako mtoka kwa runda. Toka neri ngoma, maji kaka nini di accident, moko mani eno ngano, toge mtoka kia ngano. Yes. gisetimo mang'eny. Ndalo mane gichwoya sandan mana agine athoya to achier mana kachopo Dubai. Gini gikia bendi ne giparo naseka tato. Dong ang'ima. Mane gimaka man laricha iwacho ni nien gi diabetes. Diabetes aonge go be naonge go. Koro plan mane gin go akia momiyo ne giwacho ni an gi diabetes. To kane an gi diabetes adier, nonego gitera ir doctor. Unu nyalo paro ni wacho ni ng'ato dwa loko sirikal imake to tere ko. Raila ka nowacho ni dwa loko sirikal, dong notere ko. Dong tere repeatedly maka to later on obedo release. Koro an gima natimo kata nadwa maloko sirikal, kot ne ok tera nang'o. An ahingo kot. Maybe giwacho na ahingo kot. To an gima nanyisogi, kitera kot to ok idhi win. Tera kot sani. Ok iwin makata tim gi ng'ato. To donge ok iwin? Donge an kuma ne gitera no to gidhi e kot taonge to kiny gi lose. Gise lose di 25. Ting'e naonge. Kata kot ok adhiye. To judges gitimang'o? Wacho ni no, null and void. Koro nyoro ni olokore wild goose chase. The hot air.
And Miguna Miguna, I think his strategy, which according to me can work, is to speak to people at the community level. Even though the people he was speaking with are just people of his family tree. And he seems to be going down to neutralize, or rather to debunk, some of the narratives that have been on Raila. But on that ground, he seems also to be trying to navigate himself and try to show that the same record that the Luo nation have been holding for Raila is the same record that he has. He's making all those allegations until alikuwa anataka kuoa kwa gari. All those are stories that are there. Even though, if you ask me, he didn't have a clear plan. There was no clear plan on what exactly he was actually coming to do. He was just coming back home. But in terms of political roadmap, there was no clear plan. And that's why Miguna has found himself dangling between demonizing Raila and criticizing William Ruto government, especially agendas or policies he thinks are unpopular. So, I told someone that when you remove media coverage, you're not going to give Janyando a clout. Janyando will thrive in that media coverage and the combative approach to handling issues. And if you, after that standard group altercation, I've also seen him taking filing some defamation suit against Standard. Yeah, it's quite in order. And with that continuing hostility on media, that's how he's losing it. Because it's the media that can tell your story. The story is about, I've always supported Miguna on this, that we in the media space, we did him a disservice by not really covering the things that he underwent through. Even when he came back, he was supposed to be escorted to his home. Where was he going to start? How was that home demolished? We were actually supposed to tell the world what exactly Miguna went through. But we never did that. Personally, never did that. And many have been supporting Miguna on that front. But looking at how his strategy to uproot Raila in Luo Nyanza has failed terribly. And it is not there. It's neither here nor there. It doesn't require magical science. And I know sometimes when we make this analysis, some people, some of us, I don't want to judge what our viewers think, but some other Kenyans also feel like we are overrating or we are underrating Miguna. It's not about that. But for me, I want to give it a very realistic approach and really talk true to the facts on ground. Joshua Miguna Miguna lacked entry structures in the other parts of Nyanza apart from Kisumu. You know, a week, 2 days before the maiden Kisumu trip, that he was welcomed by a host of Raila rebels from Kisumu and Luo Nyanza, he announced that, don't stone me, I am going to visit my family. That's where he missed the point. So it was like he was a bit scared. Of course, maybe he got wrong intelligence that someone wanted to attack him. No one was going to attack Miguna Miguna. No one had a problem with him, by the way. So when he got the wrong signal and said that I was just going to mourn my dead family members, my family members who passed on, the whole maiden trip to Kisumu lacked its political clout. And that is why hata angepata media coverage because there was no message that was taken to Kisumu. In fact, he went there, and that clip that we've listened to ni akiongea ni kama somewhere in his home. So when he changed the schedule and said, I'm going to visit my family, the political clout went down. But I would understand why. What is happening is this. Unlike in Kisumu, where he would go and say, I'm going to visit his family, how about Siaya? There was no way. You didn't have a political party. There is no well-laid program you're doing. You're not even doing an economic empowerment something. You know, one thing I've always believed is what would actually help Miguna Miguna is coming back with a solution-based politics. Come with a solution-based politics and a universal, something that will cut across, so that if you are actually telling the youth that crime si poa, wacha tufanye kazi to get dough, and you are even training, like he's a lawyer, he's even training some groups of people on something, you find a way you can even do your resource mobilization. You know, now, even if you want to mobilize for a worthy cause, there is nothing. No one can just throw in money and into nothing. I want to say is, even if William Ruto support you, how? Can he give you money in your pocket to go and yell and do rallies? No. You must package it into something. Maybe you're even teaching, you're even doing some capacity building, you know, to the youth. It makes a lot of sense. Even doing access to justice, oh my goodness, now. You even do access to justice capacity building using the social justice firms. Like there is the Dandora Justice Center, there is Sia Justice Center, all this, or you even go the Bunga Wananchi way. But because he didn't have a direction, there was no way he was going to make entry. Now, for you to dethrone Raila, you don't need to go after Raila. You need to go after his supporters. If you want to inherit, you're not going to inherit the name Raila Odinga. You want to inherit the supporters. So go and talk to the supporters. There was a mishap. Something did not go right. And you know, Raila knew very well and developed a very good strategy, ignore Miguna. You know, Oduor will come speak, but you will not hear Raila. In fact, Raila never blocked even Miguna in Twitter. Miguna is tagging Raila in all his tweets. Check he's taking Raila, and Raila is strategically silent. The reason why that was done is when you confront, you actually give media agenda of the day. And through Raila, you're even bringing him back in the limelight. I can tell you that in the next 2 years, he has those presidential ambitions. I wish I'm wrong. But he might have those presidential ambitions. Those ambitions will not be live. They will not be anywhere without such a very well-laid strategy. And Raila's silence is what is also killing Miguna Miguna. But does he have the budget? I've looked at this. Does he have the budget? I don't think. The signals are that he doesn't have the budget, because remember he was crying about some notes. He has spoken about the media is not telling my story about how my house was vandalized and all that. Some of these things need money. Money is needed even to move around, because Miguna is a man with very many enemies. You can't just move everywhere. You must have security, you must have the resource where you're going to sleep, and how it must be a well structured. And I see him a bit in terms of finances. Who gonna fund? It's not cheap. And now the biggest blow that Joshua Miguna suffered was the fact that civil society groups withdrew and failed to uptake his story. If these organizations doing, and I need to be, my good friend Giacomondi was at the airport, JKA, here in Nairobi, and when I saw, I was like, oh, because my good friend is in the civil society group. I was like, oh yeah, the civil society groups are taking over his story. From the airport, after taking the photos with him, they retreated to their offices, and no one is talking about it. Not even the big human rights defenders in this country. I'm talking about Kina Boniface Mwangi. His story was left somewhere for himself, and he's telling it. Now he doesn't have the media. Now he even doesn't have anywhere to tell that story. And I think the story of what Miguna went through, this is the truth. I know he has said that Raila Odinga's 9 years longest political detainee was because he was destabilizing Moi. But don't you know that Miguna's story also starts from the mock swearing in of Raila Odinga? So that story can only be strong if it starts from that mock swearing in. But when you started from mock swearing it, by the time unafika kwa detention, imekosa ladha. I don't want to go beyond that. What do you think, guys? And that is my take.